Hello there, welcome to Tuesday's ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the southeast. The Ashford daughter terrified for her loved ones in Ukraine, unable to shelter from the attacks as they're caring for a 91-year-old relative.
The fight to keep cardiology services in Eastbourne as the NHS considers changes to where heart patients are treated. And
it was a very happy occasion.
Royal approval for Southend-on-Sea, from today officially a city, in honour of its biggest supporter, the late Sir David Amess MP.
Good evening. A Ukrainian woman living in Kent has spoken of her fears for her family living back home. Svitlana Smelyunska's 91-year-old grandmother is unable to walk and has to shield from bombs by sleeping in the corridor of her tower block.
But her family say they are all cheered by the supportive messages and help from well-wishers from right across the southeast. Abigail Bracken has more.
Svitlana Smelyunska has been living in Kent for nearly 5 years, here to work and now studying in Canterbury, but now finds herself having to watch from afar as Russia invades Ukraine. Svitlana's 91-year-old grandmother survived famine in the 1930s and the Second World War, but now has to sleep in the corridor of a 9th-floor tower block, unable to reach a shelter because of a broken hip.
My grandma, she can't walk, and it's a question of humanity, because they can leave her just for herself. And so they are staying in the 2-bedroom flat because they can reach a bomb shelter.
6 days ago, Russia invaded Ukraine, and now Ukraine's second city, Kharkiv, has been enduring a second day of bombing.
It's really scary. It's upset their mental health, especially. So my sister, she's struggling from the panic attack. So she's vomiting, she's like shaking. It's really hard to make a decision.
Throughout the southeast, well-wishers are giving donations for Ukraine. In West Kent, volunteers are gathering supplies of toiletries and medicines in Goudhurst.
People are so desperate to help. And people have been very, very generous. But clothes aren't needed, so it's quite important that people at the moment don't donate clothes and just the absolute essentials. And there are charities out there that you can buy directly from, that will buy at the borders, which saves transporting.
And in Sussex, a 9-year-old artist from Uckfield has raised more than £1,000 by selling signed copies of her work to help the people of Ukraine.
It's quite a phenomenal piece of art. And then Russia invaded Ukraine, and then the next morning Dan came up with the idea, her dad, of setting up a Just Giving page and trying to raise money.
It feels really good.
It's pretty cool.
It feels cool.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool, yeah.
And help for Ukrainians like Svitlana's family as they try to survive the Russian invasion. Abigail Bracken, ITV News, Canterbury.
in other news, 4 members of a County Lines gang responsible for bringing drugs into Sussex have been sentenced. 2 were found to be exploiting a vulnerable teenager to transport heroin and cocaine between Eastbourne and Hastings using the rail network. The 16-year-old boy is now under police protection.
And Sussex Police has issued a stark warning after a woman was scammed out of more than £100,000. The 84-year-old was told by a fraudster posing as a police officer they needed to analyse the banknotes in her account, which prompted her to withdraw money.
Sheerness's Grade 1 listed boathouse could be restored. Surveys of the building are underway. Built in 1860, its pioneering all-metal frame paved the way for the first skyscrapers in Chicago.
Councillors and campaigners in Eastbourne are joining forces to save what they say are vital services at their local hospital.
A consultation is underway to centralise cardiology services at either the District General or the Conquest Hospital in Hastings.
The council has now passed a cross-party motion fighting for them to stay at the DGH. Andy Dickinson has sent us this.
Yes, this isn't the first time residents here feel they've been forced to battle to retain hospital services. The campaign to save the DGH dates back more than 15 years, fighting to save maternity services, orthopaedics and emergency surgery, as well as campaigners. I spoke to a retired doctor who used to work at this hospital this morning to see what he had to say about these new developments.
Well, I think that lives will be lost, and apart from the inconvenience of the travel and the visitors and all the rest of it, time is of the essence, especially for heart disease and for stroke. And I think, we just should have all our services close at hand, and they can get treatment as soon as possible, because especially in stroke and heart disease, the sooner you interfere, the better.
Oh, we're literally, excuse the pun, getting to the heart of the matter. And it's non-negotiable. It would be inconceivable for Eastbourne DGH to lose interventional cardiology services. They're linked with stroke and diabetes. We want to have a centre of excellence. We don't want all our services transferred elsewhere.
Well, the council has indeed come out strongly against the plans, passing that cross-party motion, saying enough is enough.
I was born in the Eastbourne District General Hospital, which is why I'm so passionate about protecting services here in Eastbourne at our hospital. But over the years, during my lifetime, we've seen services cut from Eastbourne one by one. And now it's some of our most specialist cardiology services that are on the guillotine. I worry for the safety of our residents if we lose specialist services. They're here for a reason. They're here because our population needs and deserves them, and that will not change. That is why they must stay.
Well, it's important to say that emergency cardiac services will not be moved according to this plan. East Sussex Healthcare NHS Trust told us the proposals aim to improve the care available across the trust and improve waiting times, creating new cardiac response teams at both emergency departments and to concentrate the most highly specialised cardiac services needed by a small number of patients at one or other of the hospital's sites. Now, the government expects a new hospital to be built here within the next 7 years, but if core services aren't a part of it, campaigners say this will be the largest town in the country without them. The consultation closes on March the 11th.
Andy Dickinson reporting there. Rail passengers in the southeast say they're being hit with the largest price hike in nearly a decade. A price increase cap of 3.8% means an annual season ticket for Brighton to London will go up by almost £200.
Nusrat Ghani, the Wealdon MP, has led a parliamentary debate about housing targets in Sussex. She acknowledged the local need for more affordable housing, but told MPs that the projected population rise for South East and Wealdon was too high, and she said road and rail upgrades were necessary too.
I must put on record, I know I have my neighbour and colleague here, and I hope she'll agree that I believe it's unfair that Wealdon has to shoulder local needs elsewhere in East Sussex and absorb the numbers we need for Eastbourne, Hastings and Lewis because they're unable to deliver their fair share. And I hope the Minister can recognise the pressure that Wealdon District Council is under and try and secure not only greater funding but support they need to help push back unnecessary development proposals.
Prince Charles has given Southend-on-Sea its city status in a visit along with the Duchess of Cornwall on behalf of the Queen.
It's the culmination of a campaign supported by Southend's former MP Sir David Amess, who was killed in October.
Well, Southend was due to submit a bid to become a city in December as part of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations, but it was granted 3 days after Sir David's death. Hannah Pettifer reports.
This was the moment Sir David Amess had long campaigned for, as Southend officially became a city. Prince Charles delivered the document on behalf of the Queen.
What matters more than any name, whether of a person or a place, is the spirit. Today, Southend becomes a city. As we celebrate and honour that fact, we remember that it is always, and crucially, a community. By that measure, ladies and gentlemen, Southend-on-Sea is a marvellous example to our nation. Now, I have no doubt that Sir David would have been immensely proud today.
Lady Amess was also given freedom of the city on her husband's behalf. Later, the Prince was joined by the Duchess of Cornwall as they were taken to Southend Pier to see a new train named after the city's late MP. Hundreds of people lined the seafront to see the royal couple as they made their way along the crowds. Many schoolchildren among those wanting to celebrate the start of a new era for Southend, now the 70th city in the UK.
Well, it's very good that David Amos has been recognised in this way, because he served the town very well indeed. So very proud of him.
Yeah, lovely, great, brilliant. Brilliant. I hope it brings prosperity to the town. That's what the main thing is. I hope it brings money to us and people's jobs and everything else. So be good.
Hopefully it'll bring more visitors to Southend and just make it a nicer place, really. Yeah.
Becoming a city is all about status and recognition. Some say it's an opportunity to attract more investment, putting Southend on a bigger stage. But it's also about civic pride, something Sir David Amos worked tirelessly to achieve. Sands restaurant on the seafront was the last stop. Run by Mark Miller, who's previously been given a Queen's Award for Enterprise, he said the Duchess of Cornwall was a fan of his fish and chips.
What she did say, she loved our fish and chips, because she actually did eat them, and she had them upstairs, and they brought them up to her, and she just come down and said thank you very much for the fish and chips, and that's her favourite meal, and she likes cod, so can't get better than that. If today's anything as an example, what it does to the town, it's a massive boost, and the town needs a boost, and I think it will bring that.
It was an occasion Sir David Amos had hoped to see in his lifetime. City status may have been granted in tribute to him, but his family said this was truly a day for the people of Southend. Hannah Pettifer, ITV News, Southend.
Congratulations to the city of Southend. Now, we always like to leave you with a happy ending, and here's a happy ending for one seagull in particular. An RSPCA officer had to swim to the centre of Singleton Lake in Ashford to free a black-headed gull that had become tangled in fishing twine. The gull was taken to Malley Dams Woods Wildlife Centre in Sussex, where he spent 4 weeks recuperating.
And then yesterday, still in his box, he was taken to Pet Level near Hastings. And as you're about to see, after only a momentary glance back, he took off into the beautiful blue sky.
Oh, that's brilliant. And there is a serious message behind these pictures. Please don't leave fishing twine and tackle behind. It is, of course, a major hazard for all bird life. The RSPCA now has angling litter recycling points across the UK. There he goes. Happy travels.
Superb. Right, let's get a check on the weather forecast. Here's Holly.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Good evening. It has been a disappointing start to meteorological spring, hasn't it? Outbreaks of rain, a lot of low cloud, mist, murk, and there's not an awful lot of change in sight either, I'm afraid. So this is the feature currently affecting us, and it sort of lingers a bit really into tomorrow. Then it's replaced by another front, and this one's creating a bit of a headache because we're not quite sure where it's going to end up for the end of the week. So it's a slow moving feature. Where it does end up, it will gradually sort of fizzle out, but it may be that it's over us, in which case we continue to see low cloud outbreaks of rain, but it may be that it's a little bit further west, in which case we should get away with some brighter weather. So we'll have to keep a close watch on that and just keep you up to date as we get a bit closer. For the time being, though, outbreaks of rain with us, some of these quite lively, a wet old picture out there. We've got a lot of low cloud mist, hill fog with us. Of course, it means it's going to be a mild one, so temperatures 6, 7, 8 degrees. But as we head into tomorrow morning, it's cloudy, it's murky, we've got outbreaks of rain. And now this might look into the afternoon like it's turning dry, but actually I do think we'll tend to keep a fair bit of drizzle with us. A southeasterly breeze, temperatures still struggling a bit for the time of year at 8 or 9 degrees. Take care.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
And just before we go, it is, of course, Shrove Tuesday or Pancake Day.
Yes, and passengers on the Javelin to London weren't being allowed to forget earlier. This was the sign that greeted commuters on the line from Ebbsfleet to St Pancras first thing this morning. St Pancake is what it says. See what they did there.
I see what they did there. But I was hoping you were going to show me like pancakes with nice fillings and things like that.
Sorry.
And that's it from us this evening. Hope you join us again here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.